G'day, I'm Keith,
Hi, I'm Joe.
and this is Joe and Keith Go Travelling. In this, our inaugural first episode, we're going to talk about our recent trip to Canada and Alaska.
Via Hong Kong,
Yes, so we've been planning this for a couple of years to coincide with our 10th wedding anniversary, and
which we spent in Juneau and Alaska, but you'll see that in a future episode.
yeah, so here is, we had to split this up because there was so many photos and everything, and in order to keep these videos to a reasonable length, well, this is episode 1. We're going to create at least 3 episodes out of this, of our Canadian Alaskan adventure. So here we go.
This episode will basically cover our trip from Port Macquarie to
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then landing in Vancouver, I believe.
Yeah. So here come the photos. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to the video, do all those things that everyone on YouTube tells you to do.
And enjoy.
Yep, here come the photos. So the adventure starts at Port Macquarie Airport, and here's our Dash 8 Q400 coming into Port Macquarie Airport. And for these little planes, they punch well above their weight. I'm quite fond of the Dash 8. There's surprisingly a good amount of leg room in them. They're pretty good aircraft.
I'll agree with that. For a small plane, they actually have a lot of luggage room in the overhead compartments and a lot more leg room than some of the large planes.
And I like the 2-2 configuration where you don't get that, if you're travelling as a couple, you don't get that random, awkward third person that you either need to climb over or they need to climb over you. They don't have all the, the entertainment and the charging ports and stuff that the jets have, but I mean they're only in the air for about an hour, 2 hours, so you can live without all that fancy stuff for a couple of hours.
Absolutely. You don't need the screens and to be able to watch a movie or anything for a two-hour flight.
And this one here, so all the Dash 8s, they're named after a regional town in Australia, and this one was the Tamworth. So here we are, and so this is wine in a sippy cup, and there's actually quite a funny story behind that. Do you want to tell the story, Joe?
I will tell the story because it was very amusing at the time. It's probably the worst turbulence I've ever experienced on a flight.
We were right at the back of there.
We were right in the very back row where we've never sat before. Hit massive turbulence, and we had just ordered a glass of wine each, and the wine just went everywhere. Keith's wine sprayed all up the wall of the aircraft and up towards the window. My wine went everywhere, all over my pants, all over the tray table, all over the floor. The poor cabin steward was watching what was happening with the wine. And she gave us new wines, and she put my wine in a sippy cup so that we wouldn't have such a massive spill.
It was so usually on these flights I'll order a beer, and I thought, you know what, I'm not driving anywhere, I'll order a wine. And she'd pretty much poured my wine and handed me the cup, and that's when the turbulence hit, and the wine went all up the wall, went all over my jeans. So we're kind of dealing with wine-soaked clothes on day 1 of the holiday.
It was really good, though, that you were wearing jeans and I was wearing navy pants, because if I'd had my white pants on that day, that would have looked terrible getting off the plane in the airport.
Yeah. So we got to Sydney. We stayed in a airport hotel. I think it was, I can't remember the name of the hotel. But there's some pizza that we had that night anyway.
The pizza was good.
Yeah, and being day 1 of the holiday, you don't want to spend too much straight off, so we just went down to a pizza shop in Mascot, grabbed a pizza.
Was it the Stanford?
The Stanford.
Stanford. Was it the Stanford? Now I need to double check that.
So it was actually the Century Plaza. We're getting a bit confused. Stanford Plaza was in Vancouver. So Century Plaza, Sydney Airport.
At least we got half the name right.
Yeah. So and look, most of these Sydney airports hotels are pretty much, you're there to stay for a night before you go somewhere else. And I stayed in a few, and they're all pretty good. Like this was walking distance from the airport, but it was like buckling down rain that night, so we did catch the shuttle. But then I went for a walk to get pizza and got drenched.
The pizza was worth it.
Yeah, good pizza, yep. And then, the morning we got up, I hit the gym, lifted some heavy stuff, and then we had a big wait. So we went to the airport, but we had like a huge wait at the airport. So we had a few airport beers, wait for our Cathay Pacific flight out to Hong Kong first.
Yes, we had a 10-hour layover in Hong Kong.
Yeah, but so just we're looking at the money here. So have a look at the three notes. So you got a Hong Kong $20 note, is it? Australian $10 note, and a Canadian $5 note there, and they look pretty similar, don't they? Pretty similar colour.
The colours are identical practically. It's just the heads are different.
You could easily get confused with all these different blue notes in your wallet there. So there we are, airport wines.
Yes, airport wines.
Yep. And there's our we're waiting for a departure to Hong Kong. Cathay Pacific. What's the flight? The flight is, I can't even remember now, but there we go. And that's the one, CX138 to Hong Kong. And that's looking out the aircraft window there, and it was pretty, the weather was, you couldn't see much, so it's not a very good window view. So we didn't get like an outside shot of this aircraft because it's dark, it's raining, and I tried to take a few shots, and all I got was a reflection of myself. But this is a Cathay Pacific Airbus A350, and I had a window seat, Joe had the middle seat, so we had like a random person in the aisle seat that we had to like climb over and wake up every time we wanted to go to the bathroom.
And he was one of the fortunate people who was able to sleep on an aeroplane, and he fell very deeply asleep. So every time we had to get up and use the bathroom, I felt so guilty because we actually had to wake him up.
Yeah. So we've actually learned a lesson about that when we're traveling in like a wide body aircraft. If you you've got the row of seats in the middle, and they're usually like 4 in the middle. So you've got 3 on either side, and then you've got 4 in the middle. So if you're traveling with a partner, if you select like that middle row of seats and like one on the outside, and then the second one, then you're not kind of climbing over anyone else, and no one's climbing over you. You're just kind of climbing over each other. And yeah, we've found that that's kind of a good, as much as I like window seat, it's kind of, on those long haul flights, it's a bit better.
I would agree with that. I actually don't have any preference really for window or aisle seats. On the long haul flights, though, the aisle seat is definitely more convenient in terms of getting up and moving around the cabin and using the facilities.
All right, and then there's all this cool little stuff on the screen with distance and pictures of the airplane and stuff. That was pretty cool to watch every now and then. What I found fascinating was how long it actually took to get out of Australia, because we kind of flew inland and then like across almost over Darwin, and I think we were flying in Australia for nearly 4 hours before we actually got out of Australia.
It was a long time. I actually really enjoy watching these flight maps. As we're traveling, it's really nice to see exactly where you are and what you're passing over, even though you know you're not going to stop at a lot of those places on this trip. It's kind of fascinating thinking, hey, we're flying over Darwin. I've never been to Darwin, so that was quite exciting for me.
It kind of makes you realise how huge Australia is too. Like the first 4 hours of the flight was basically flying over Australia. So, before we even got over ocean. Here's some food. The food came.
The food on Cathay Pacific was definitely interesting.
There was kind of a mixed bag. We got, I can't really remember what this one was, but we got served first because we were special. No, because so Joe has a seafood allergy, so we had to mark that on our thing. So all the people with like special, dietary things got served first, and because I was with Joe, I got served first too.
Preferential treatment. The interesting thing about the food service on Cathay Pacific is you actually get silver cutlery, so stainless steel cutlery as opposed to disposable cutlery, which I haven't ever experienced on any other airline.
So I found this quite interesting. The beer. So this Betsy Beer, it's been brewed for Cathay Pacific, and it's apparently been brewed to be good at altitude. So this is a pale ale that is supposed to taste good at altitude. So this beer is meant to be like good at altitude, and it was a good beer, but I can't compare it to how it tasted on the ground because I never tried it on the ground. So I guess it's hard to say, but it was a good beer.
Does it have something to do with the pressure, like the cabin pressure as well, with how drinks react?
I'm not sure, but it was a decent pale ale. It was a good beer. I didn't complain. It was good. You had a wine, didn't you?
I had wine. Yes, a wine as in a wine, not a whinge wine. But yes, the wine was quite good too.
So we're probably about halfway by then. That's like 2:47 a.m. Got to Hong Kong about
Was it 5:30?
4:30, but whether that's Australian time, Hong Kong time, I'm not sure. But we were roughly probably about halfway there. So we've only just got out of Australia. So we've just gone past Darwin over Indonesia, and we're halfway. So that, I guess, that kind of points out a bit like how huge Australia is really when you're getting from Sydney there across to Darwin. That's taken up half the time.
Yes, it was actually quite exciting to be out of Australia. It just felt like we're really on holiday then.
Yeah. We didn't want to go landing in Darwin, did we?
Not this trip.
No. Oh, look, nothing wrong with Darwin. If you're from Darwin, no offence to you guys, but we wanted to keep going. Another meal there. So, that was breakfast. That was a bit
Interesting.
Look, it was okay. It was okay. Like, it's an airline breakfast.
Cathay Pacific has this thing, though, obviously, because they're catering for a lot of passengers from the Asian regions. Their food service, it contains a mix of European-style food and Asian food. So you could actually order a breakfast that contained food that you wouldn't traditionally eat coming from Australia.
Yeah. Breakfast noodle.
I think you had like some sort of dumplings and.
Oh, that was on the next. You're getting ahead.
Oh, am I getting ahead?
That was on the next flight.
Okay.
You're getting ahead of us here.
Sorry.
Yep. Here we got sausage and the usual airline scrambled eggs, which it's not the best, but it's not like inedible. It's okay. Some yogurt there.
The yogurt was good.
Getting quite close to Hong Kong now. It's like 4:54 a.m. So we left on our flight. It was about 9:30 or something. Our flight left Sydney. Arrived at Hong Kong around 5:30 in the morning Hong Kong time, I believe. And Hong Kong is about 2 hours behind Sydney, I think. So yeah, it was like a 9.5 hour flight coming over Hong Kong here.
Which, with hindsight, was actually one of the shorter flights we went on.
Yeah, yep. And there's this coming out. Hong Kong is quite spectacular, like overnight, or just flying over Hong Kong and seeing these lights.
It's so densely populated, so there's just so much cityscape, so many lights to see.
Yeah, it's like it's just as you come in, like you just, even the ships in the harbour, like all the lights, you don't realise like there's so many ships, and you look, it looks like a landmass, but they're actually ships. You haven't actually got to land, and then when you see the land there, just so bright coming over. It's pretty spectacular. I'm actually, as much as it was awkward having that third person in the middle row, I'm actually glad I had a window seat for that leg.
It looks like someone's just spilled a jewellery box, doesn't it? They've chipped all the sparkly jewellery out of the jewellery box.
Yep. So there we are, coming in, and there's this like super long bridge there that we went over. Super long bridge, and there we are landing in Hong Kong. That's like a Cold Chisel song, 7 flying hours, they'll be landing in Hong Kong.
I don't know that one.
Kaisan.
Oh, okay.
7 flying hours, I'll be landing in Hong Kong.
Okay, there you go.
But that was actually 9.5 flying hours. And there we go, welcome to Hong Kong. That was on. And this photo here, that was on one of those travelator things. The travelators that are like they're flat in the airport, and you get on. And I love this photo because there's the sign says, "Don't look only at your mobile phone."
I always laugh at those travelators because if you walk beside the travelator, you actually end up getting ahead of the people on the travelators because they generally just stand there.
We need these signs everywhere because people just walk around like zombies looking at their mobile phones. Don't look only at your mobile phone. So when we got to Hong Kong, we had a 10-hour layover. So we kind of decided to go into Hong Kong and see a bit. And so we had to wait for a bit to get in through customs. There's a big long line up. But once we got in, like, it was easy. The process was pretty easy. We would just wave through. We had nothing to declare or anything. We were just going in there. Just had our carry-on baggage. So yeah, we just we got into Hong Kong. That process was pretty easy.
The good thing about Hong Kong, of course, is that English is widely spoken.
Yeah.
So we never had any trouble understanding anyone.
Yep. And we just we got a ticket to the main part of Hong Kong,
the city centre.
And in hindsight, we probably should have researched that a bit more. We had like a long 10-hour layover, so we probably should have targeted where we went. But we just thought, we'll go into Hong Kong City, and it was probably, not them. There were probably better places that we could have visited, but we jumped on the train. Trains were like really clean, weren't they?
The trains are awesome, yeah. And we did see a bit of scenery on the way.
Yeah.
Way in on the train.
And they're so on time as well.
Absolutely. The old saying, run like clockwork, that they absolutely ran like clockwork.
Yeah. And then we hopped off and the main Hong Kong part and had a bit of a walk around. So there's us in front of a waterfall there in Hong Kong. There we go, waterfall. That's a buffalo up the top there, isn't it? Not a real buffalo, a buffalo statue.
Yes, and it was stinking hot, wasn't it? It was so
so
muggy. It was well over 30 degrees Celsius and probably about 80% humidity.
These things here are called ding-dings. For the obvious reason they go ding-ding when they go past.
And we didn't find that out until it was nearly time to leave, because we were looking for a fridge magnet to take back home, and the gentleman in the store said, "Oh, you want a magnet of a ding ding?" And we're like, "What's a ding ding?"
Oh, and then we found the 7-Eleven, found a strawberry Snickers, and I went looking for nice coffee, and the closest thing I could find to a nice coffee was like this thing, latte Arabica. I assumed it must be coffee.
Well, you didn't complain. You drank it, so it must have been okay.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was. But then we went back to the airport, and the airport kind of threw us because we thought we'd been gone for ages, and we thought, oh, we'd better get back to the airport. So we jumped on the train, made our way back to the airport, because where we landed, we landed, it was about 5 a.m. by the time we landed at Hong Kong. But because we'd been going for 9.5 hours, it seemed like a lot longer, didn't it?
Yeah, we had no sleep though on the flight, so I think we were definitely very jet lagged already.
Our time was all like thrown out, so we rushed back thinking we'd been in Hong Kong for hours, and got back in through security, and it's like 9:30 in the morning.
So we didn't spend very much time in the centre of Hong Kong at all. And with hindsight, we should definitely have done some more research about where to actually go in that time period.
Yep. There's probably a lot. Yeah. So if you do have a long layover in Hong Kong, I would highly recommend doing some research and kind of planning a bit more instead of just like winging. We winged it, and we did kind of. It was fun, but there were probably a lot better places in Hong Kong that we could have had a look at.
Absolutely.
But we're back at the airport now anyway. I found good coffee. It was pretty easy to find a decent coffee in Hong Kong. I can't say that for the next part of the trip. But Hong Kong surprisingly had good coffee.
It's always the search for a good coffee when we travel.
Yeah.
We're very spoiled in Australia with our coffee.
Yep. And then we had pizza, and this is like coffee and pizza, and beer. We had beer, and there's airport beers.
So everyone's seeing a theme here. Coffee, beer, and pizza.
There we go. Yeah. And then we did some plane watching. So to celebrate Cathay Pacific's 80th anniversary, some of the aircraft are done up in the retro colours that has been nicknamed the lettuce leaf livery. So this is one of those aircraft. It's not the one that we went on, but we spotted it.
He got quite excited when he saw this plane. In fact, I think, if I remember correctly, I pointed it out. I went, "Look, there's one with the different colours on it."
Lettuce leaf. I'm going to zoom in on this photo. It might say something on the side. 80, is it 80 years?
80.
Yeah, 80 years. There we go, 80 years for Cathay Pacific. That's still quite old for 80 years. That would be 1946. 1946, yeah.
End of the Second World War.
Yeah, yep. So there's that would be a Boeing 777. Like the one that we're going on, not the one we're going on, but for the next leg, but like it. So we did a bit of plane watching here as we were waiting. There was a other airport beer there that someone must have been having.
I wonder who.
So Hong Kong airport is like huge. It's like mega huge. There's like these I don't know how big it is, but it's like the terminals are like so far apart you have to get to them by train. So our terminal number hadn't come up like yet a couple of hours before the flight, and then it suddenly came up and we realised we're in the wrong terminal, and we had to jump on a train to get to the terminal we had to be at, which was pretty efficient. There wasn't like a big arduous thing, but there was like, that's just the scope of how big this airport is.
The biggest blessing in disguise with this trip was the fact that our checked-in baggage went all the way through to the end of the trip. So we didn't actually have to worry about going and collecting it every time we went to a different airport. So that was amazing.
So this is our aircraft here. This is our flight to Vancouver, from Hong Kong to Vancouver. A Boeing 777, and we're on board here, and that's where we're going. Vancouver, menu there. So as I said before, we chose the seats differently for this one. We changed your seats after our experience with with the last flight, having that like third person awkwardness kind of thing. So we had the middle row of seats, which meant no seat, but it kind of made the flight a lot more comfortable and a lot less awkward. So I used the on-screen thing a bit more, and the aircraft had cameras down below and up top, so you could sort of see the takeoff and everything.
I think we worked out by the time we landed in Vancouver, we'd gone over 30 hours without sleep, or maybe half an hour's sleep. Cathay Pacific were interesting too, in that they really differentiated between nighttime and daytime in the cabin with the lights in the plane, like turning the lights down to make it seem like it was nighttime to encourage people to sleep, and then turning the lights up early in the morning to simulate daybreak.
Yeah. So, because Vancouver was a lot of hours behind, so to put in perspective, I think our flight was 3:30 p.m. and the flight was 11 hours, but we were landing at 1 p.m. the same day. So the meals were kind of like scheduled around our destination. So I think, and look, this was our first long haul flight, so it was a bit of an experience. But it's I've heard that's what they do, is they try to get you into the routine of the time zone that you're landing in.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one way, I guess, to help cope with the jet lag.
So anyway, fast forward 11 hours later, had some breakfast, usual scrambled egg kind of breakfast. These ones weren't too bad actually. I didn't mind this one here. They kind of look a bit fluffy and better in this photo too.
I lived on yogurt and fruit, I think, on most of the long haul flights.
So then we start coming over Vancouver, and like I said, I didn't have a window, so these kind of films footage of the screen. So there we are, coming over. So the water, some land there, going into Vancouver, and there we are, coming in.
The shadow of the aircraft.
Yeah.
tarmac cam was actually really good. It was interesting. We haven't seen that on all flights at all. It was nice having the cameras at ground level.
Yeah, yep. Yep, so there's us coming in over Vancouver there. And when we landed, I'll just talk over this landing cam, because we didn't get any photos of once we landed. We didn't take any photos of the airport or anything, but we kind of like got through customs, got our bags and everything, and then we had to make our way to the Waterfront station in Vancouver, which was the closest train station to our hotel. So we kind of jumped on the train, SkyTrain, is that what they call it? The SkyTrain?
The SkyTrain in Vancouver, yes.
Yep. It's funny, they kind of have obviously, pretty obvious names for things when you think about them in Canada. So the SkyTrain is not the train that goes underground, it's the one that goes above the ground. They call it the SkyTrain. The ferry that goes across to North Vancouver is called the Sea Bus. So I guess kind of obvious names for things.
Absolutely.
So we caught this after we talked to a couple of helpful people at the airport, found our way to the train station, and all the way to the Waterfront station, which is actually the port for the cruise ships.
Yep.
That we were to get on in a few days' time.
Absolutely.
Yep. But that's another episode.
Yes, we will see that in a future episode.
But once we got to Waterfront station and walked out into the open air, and it was a brewery.
Well, that's a funny story too, because we walked out and we looked around at the scenery, and there was because we were so jet lagged by this stage and so tired, we saw a cafe on one side of the street and a brewery on the other side of the street.
Yep.
And we looked at each other, we looked at both venues and thought, no, we're going to the brewery.
Yep.
Best decision we made.
But so that's phase one anyway. We're at the brewery now. And there we go, more beer. Steamworks Brewery. And you had poutine like when in Canada. First thing we saw on the menu at the brewery.
When in Canada,
poutine.
Do the Canadians do?
Yeah, but that's we're going to have to be added to be continued to this now, because we've been going for like this much time, 45 minutes. So we're going to have to make a part 2 of this, and then a part 3. So part 2 will be our Vancouver experience. So make sure you check back in for part 2, where we eat poutine and drink beer and do other things. We don't just do that. Don't just eat poutine and drink beer.
I'm sure some people probably think that.
All right, so that's part 1 of our Canada-Alaska adventure. Tune in next time
For part 2.
when we eat more poutine
And drink more beer.
and go and check out Vancouver, and make sure you like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay, thanks for
Bye.
watching, guys.
G'day, I'm Keith,
Hi, I'm Joe.
and this is Joe and Keith.
Goes travelling.
That's the one, yes.
Record again.